Order. Please rise for the prayer and pledge of allegiance. Our Father,
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item D on the agenda is swearing in of Patrol Officer Shalia Perez. Come on up.
Mom and Daddy, you guys want to come over, we can right here, take good pictures up close, you want to, or whoever wants to do that. Come on up. I probably said this so many times that everybody in here probably can repeat it, but it doesn't mean I don't mean it, right? Everything you have on, everything you touch, your car, everything we can replace, okay? We can't replace you, all right? So the decisions ever, me or my equipment, always choose you, okay? Old police chief used to have a saying, he said, criminals are stupid. We'll catch them eventually, all right? He's absolutely right. We may miss them the first time they do something stupid, we're gonna get them the second time, right? There are a lot of people here that care about you. You're joining a good organization, and they all have been exactly where you are. At one time, they all were doing exactly what you're doing today. Listen to them, all right? Eyes, ears wide open, mouth shut, just paying attention. Do what they're told, do what you're told, and you'll be just fine, okay? You ready for this?
Thanks.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna swear you in. Sure. All right, raise your hand. I state your name.
I, Shalia Perez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
and the charter, ordinances, and resolutions
and the ordinance, orders, and resolutions
of the city of Napoleon, Ohio,
of the city of Napoleon, Ohio,
and the laws of the state of Ohio,
and the laws of the state of Ohio,
and faithfully discharge and perform
and faithfully discharge and perform
all duties that come upon me
all duties that come upon me
as a patrol officer
as a patrol
of
officer
the city of Napoleon, Ohio,
of the city of Napoleon, Ohio,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
All right, now comes the important part. Okay, Mom, you're up. It's a good day. Good day. I guess, you know, you can do like this, so you take pictures, there you go. There you go, you'll take pictures.
Nicely done.
Anything you want to tell us about yourself? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here in Napoleon, born and raised here. I've been on auxiliary for 3 years for Napoleon Police Department, so I look forward to pursuing my career as a full-time officer and providing service and protection to the city of Napoleon.
Awesome. Get a good family picture here. Chief, you want to join up in here?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is about her.
All right. Very good.
You can come and take a
Very
picture.
You good? Do you want us to take a picture real quick? Who's got the camera? Who's got it
There you
good?
go.
There's more than one button. You can, is it one in the middle?
Yeah.
There, if Kevin can do that, perfect. Come on up, come on up, got one more, come on up. Come on up.
Go on that side.
There we go. All right.
All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. Perfect.
Back up, Kevin, hold on.
Let me have one
You have to sign some documents here really quick. Sign there and then sign there for me, please.
Congratulations, Dad. Congratulations.
Outstanding. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go down there, go over there, and come on back through.
Have a good time.
And now we need Officer Rubenberg, please.
Item D on the agenda is pinning of Patrol Officer Joshua Buchenberg. Come on up.
I'm Dad and Sam, if you want to come take pictures, come on up, please come on up. Come on up. So we did this already, right? So we'll just pose like we're doing it for the first time, is that all right?
Yeah,
Or do you want to go through it? It's completely up to you.
the other way.
Which do you prefer?
Oh, we can just pose.
Want to just pose for it? Okay, don't matter to me, whatever, it's your day. So, everybody ready? Here we go. Okay. Josh, you want to sign right there for me, please? Yeah. Patrol Officer Rubenberg, excuse me. Official title. Okay.
You can only make silent arrests now.
There you go, yep. Mom, Dad, want to come and get a picture? It's a big day. Jen, are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Brittany? Good soon.
The only question, Mayor, was if I had to give another speech.
Absolutely.
He was told no, but you have the opportunity.
I was waiting on all of them to look.
Back up. We're good.
Why don't you come through here and just make sure you shake everybody's hand. Want to do that?
Congratulations.
I'm tired of you sitting down. Yes.
Mr. Hayes has a right foot,
I'm just glad he skipped me.
Okay, item F on the agenda is approval of minutes from the council meeting on June 12th, 2023, which is a special meeting. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved. Hearing none, they stand approved. Item G, citizen communication. If there's anyone in the audience or on WebEx that would like to address council on something that is not on the agenda, you can do so by typing in the chat, and we will check that periodically. And we're going to jump around a little bit here and move on to item M4, which is discussion or action, review of the CRA tax abatement request from Henry County CIC in regards to expansion of the CNC fabrication. Okay. Andy?
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate you moving this up on the schedule. Jen has a family obligation. She would like to attend, so and I will let her speak to this. A local business, growing business, has come to us with a request for a CRA, or a tax abatement agreement, or CRA. And with that, I'll let Jen speak to this.
Great.
Thank you, sir. So CNC Fabrication is Jade Shank's business out on Freedom Drive, if everyone is aware of that. And I've been working with them for probably since January. We've been discussing this expansion. And this is on the corner of Freedom Drive, so you know he has his CNC Fabrication, which is welding and fabrication of truck chassis, mainly for Palfinger, very large outfittings, some cranes, stuff like that. He also has his concrete business, and then April has her food recycling business as well, so there's a whole compound there. He does own the parcel to the east of where he's currently at, and that is where he is looking at now doing a 20,352 square foot facility, which would be a capital investment of $1.2 million. This expansion would allow for continuous work with Palfinger. You know, they're headquartered in Tiffin, I believe, but they're all over. They're in Alabama, North Carolina, and he could have the opportunity to take that business elsewhere. However, he stated that he enjoys Napoleon. Obviously, with the 3 other businesses here, he's here to stay. So he's owned this parcel for some time. You know, we eventually talked about possibly 100,000 square foot, then it dropped down a little bit lower, and we've gotten to 20,000 square feet. And this would add an additional 11 full-time jobs over 5 years with a new payroll of $605,000. I did talk to him about a CRA. We did work with Jobs Ohio and RGP to see if there was any other investments we can do, but because of the job creation only being 11, that doesn't qualify for any state incentives. So therefore, I offered a CRA tax abatement. And after some conversations with Kevin here being in a TIF area, I did reach out to the attorney that did the language for that. I've been told it's not a district, it is parcel by parcel. So we can't say it's a TIF district, it's just all those parcels have been labeled under a TIF, which is tax increment financing. And in order for a parcel to get triggered into a TIF, the valuation has to be $500,000, which this small of a project would not qualify to roll into a TIF. Therefore, it does become eligible for the CRA. However, looking forward, because those TIFs, all those parcels, are in such a large area for development for Napoleon, I did ask if you can stack a CRA or any type of tax abatement on top of a TIF, and you can. The legislation would just have to be written where the tax abatement would take precedent over a TIF. The TIF is for 30 years. This CRA, I'm only asking for 10 years. 75%, which does not require school board approval. They've already been notified, and I do have a 25% pilot written into this agreement, which also gives Napoleon schools 50% pilot, which annually would come out to about $1,500. The other 25% would go to 4 County Career Center and the Napoleon Infrastructure Economic Development Fund, which would be equal at about $700 annually. Any questions on the agreement itself?
Do you have an idea when they want to start?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
In the agreement, it states July, because as I said, we've been talking about this since January.
Right.
When I see him, you know, I asked him how he's doing, he said he'd be better if he had a building out there. So I would also ask to kind of push this along, knowing that, you know, as soon as it turns warm here, construction season start, that's his business, he wants to get going.
Yeah.
Andy and I went out to the facility, a week ago. They're completely full, and if you look on the backside from American Road, you can see their Palfinger trucks lined up out there. They got quite a few trucks out there waiting for work to be done.
What they do is they acquire these cab and chassis from multiple manufacturers. There's Freightliners, there's Max, there's Kenworths, and you'll see all these brand new cabs and chassis sitting out in their lot. The day that we were there, they had 37 of them waiting to be outfitted. And what they do is they fabricate the deck for the back, onto which they will attach some sort of Palfinger crane. So virtually every truck is different, and all they do is custom fabrication. It's an impressive operation, and they keep their people busy.
Yeah, and you know, we don't ever want to try to push someone to do a larger project, but over these, 6 months talking to them, I think they will quickly fill this space and potentially outgrow it even. I did let them know, we can't keep coming back year after year. You do this one, 20,000, this CRA, this is it. In a couple of years, if you outgrow it, we can't keep stacking these on top. So he's been made aware of that. So we tried to push a little bit of a bigger project, but we don't want to set him up if he doesn't meet those job creations, and then we have clawbacks.
But what he did mention while we were out there is what he envisions is an additional facility parallel with the one he currently has, attached at that 20,000 square foot addition.
Yeah,
So
because
it
this
would-
one will be separate
Right.
from the current one. And so just to give you an idea of what he's done out there just for CNC, in 2019, he made a capital investment of $2.3 million for just a 60,000 square foot building with 10 full-time jobs, which they've exceeded that. And new payroll, $790,000 annually. So this is gonna be on top of that, and then you think about his concrete business, and then April's food recycling business. I told him the beginning of, I think it was budget season when I met with you guys, I said, my focus for this year, beyond the spec building, which is already being built, was retention, and I think this is a prime definition of making sure we're retaining our businesses here, especially with everything that he's got going on out there, so.
When we reviewed these properties a couple of months ago, all the CRA agreements, the information I shared with you then on Shank was they had promised $2.335 million in investment and actually had $3.338 so $1 million over and above that. It was to create 10 full-time employees, and they had already created 20. And lastly, they had a payroll number that they were shooting for of $790,400. And they were, as of 12/31/22, they were at $832,450. So they do what they say they're gonna do, and in this case, they exceeded it, so. He's a ambitious gentleman, and they just keep going out and getting more work and expanding their enterprises.
Any other questions?
Council President, if I could add a few things. I'm very concerned about the CRA, to be completely honest. I understand we need growth. However, it's in a TIF district where this council's already decided that these are things that are gonna pay for infrastructure that's already been done. We did a $1.1 million investment in the area, and it was passed by several members that are still here today on this council. And we need the growth in that area to pay for the debt that we're gonna have, that we're gonna start having to pay in 2028 or 2029. Right now, it is very slim if we make it to make that debt payment. Signing the CRA, for 10 years, we would receive nothing on that growth for a debt that we already have, and that's my concern. I would say we don't hurry this process along. If you want to ask the law director to enact legislation, that is fine. But I would make sure this goes to 3 reads. I would also make sure that this is discussed thoroughly, and we know the ramifications that if we don't make our debt, the decision of this council could be reflected on this decision here, as well as other decisions. I hate to say it, if this wasn't in the TIF, wouldn't say a word about it. It's not a problem. But this TIF was passed, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? And so a decision's already been made in that area that we need the money, we need the growth for this debt out there. Possibly there could be some incentives internally within the city of maybe the job growth, maybe a kilowatt hour tax, or something in the lines of that. Right now, it does have to be under or over $500,000 in market value. I would say at the cost of materials and all that, they're already estimating from the auditor, it's in your packets, it's 450,000. It's not gonna take much to get over 500,000. They got a revow coming up in the next year. Values are certainly gonna go up. I would just be very cautious about this. I'd also be very cautious on the 10 years. If you want to go with the CRA, it's a discussion point, but we also gain 100% of the value in 2028. So I'll just, just as an example, if you went 5 years, that would put us over 2028, but we could capture that sooner.
Right.
You go 10 years, it's 2033. It's going to be, we'll be waiting a while to get that money for the debt when we have obligations.
Right.
So there's certainly a lot of questions to be asked about this. Again, it's not in the TIF, all for it. But, I feel that my job is to protect the city and to protect the city on the debt that it owes. And so I will be giving cautions to this if you want to continue on with this agreement.
When does Love's come out of their, they're in a CRA, right? They're
No.
not. They're paying full freight right now. Yeah.
And they're the only ones that reach that $500,000 value. And so with that concern, because Kevin and I have had that discussion, like I said, I did reach out to the attorney that drafted the TIF, and this isn't close to reaching that 500,000. Therefore, it is not an issue. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have presented it knowing that and respecting the TIF.
Right.
One of the things that even Will Burns at Maumee Valley stated when that TIF was written and why 500,000 was the magic number, Paul Martin and Sons didn't reach that number, the crematorium didn't reach that number. It would have to be a large project in order to kick into a TIF.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind too. This does not reach that valuation.
I'm going to agree that it doesn't reach the valuation, but I'm going to disagree that it's not close. The auditor estimate, which probably is going to be on the low end, is $436,000. And the way material costs are, and they're coming up to a revow, I could see where it could be very close, if not over that $500,000 threshold, which we would capture that. Again, after 2028, there is no threshold of that, and we would capture that at that point if not.
Yeah, I also understand, though, that we're signaling to a local business owner who has done a fabulous job, that we want to keep him here, and we want to make sure that he employs more people. So we have more sales at Love's, at McDonald's, hopefully in Homes, and all the pieces that go with it with 11 new employees. I understand your concern, Kevin. I get it, and I appreciate it. And I'm not saying we gotta do this for everybody, but he's a proven business owner and a proven driver of what he does. And like Andy said, he always delivers. And I do appreciate what you're saying. I just disagree that we should I give it the full 10. It's gonna be interesting, yeah, it's gonna be interesting in 2028, 2029 when that comes in. At the same time, we can help somebody right now and help the city of Napoleon add more jobs. It's a win.
Andy, you have it up on the screen. If you or Jen can talk about maybe the annual tax savings that this would provide to the business.
Sure. Based on the investment value and the assessment percentage, the total annual net savings is $11,308. That's with 100% abatement. Him giving, or the company giving a 25% pilot or payment in lieu of taxes would amount to $2,827, and you take that off the 11,308, and you come up with 8,000.
400.
Yes, $8,480.90. So they would have that amount of money to kick back into their business or put back into their business. And over the course of the 10 years, as you can see, that's a total savings for the company of $84,808 that they could plow back into their business. And again, the payments over that same period are $28,269.
I think just to touch on Jason's point, I'm in agreement. I think for an annual tax savings of $8,480, this is an investment that we should strongly consider making. Kevin, I would I appreciate your input. I'd like to kind of dig more into those numbers on why you're hesitant. But based off of the information I have currently, I think that this would be a wise move for us to proceed with.
I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I could do it now, or I could do it off the record or later. There needs to be a lot more discussion on this, rather than passing it suspended read 2 weeks from now. Because I can certainly lay it out for you that we may not make our debt payments if we don't add to the values that would go into that TIF. And that was a decision that I wasn't here, Andy wasn't here, but there are several of you already here. Molly, Dan, Jason, Joe, Ross, Ken, you're all on the agreement that you agreed to have that TIF. So, again, my job is to caution you and guide you of that. You guys make whatever decision you like. But that is, unfortunately, it's in a TIF.
What's the debt payment right now for that in the first year?
It has a balloon payment, and it's over,
The first year's not the balloon payment.
the interest is the payment that the information I've seen. Because we defer all payments right now until see if this is it. June 1st, 2029, we have a payment of $216,000 that's all interest, because everything that we have is deferred until then. And we'll pay $250,000, just shy of that total payment, because we'll have another payment in December for $32,000.
So 250 in 2029, and then after that, the total is 1.1, is that what you said before?
After that, we're gonna make about $64,000 payment a year.
Payment a year, okay.
Right now, the Love's Truck Stop, we're gaining not even close to that.
Understand?
Love's currently paying into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And since Kevin brought it up, I'll expound on it a little bit. I was not here when this TIF was established. I was familiar with TIFs. I am familiar with TIFs, and they certainly have their place. But what I find unfortunate and somewhat unfair is those companies that were already established within that the new boundaries of the TIF are now somewhat being penalized because they can't put that money back into their business. It's going into other infrastructure. So, to me, I look at it as somewhat unfair that those companies really don't have a choice. It's a very large TIF district. There is a lot of undeveloped land in that TIF district. And with any luck and due diligence, we will find people to occupy that currently unoccupied land and pay into the TIF. But I just find it somewhat unfair that these businesses that ended up being within that TIF district are now not able to put that investment back into their business.
I would agree with that. That's my fear looking at this. And again, I was with the CIC at the time, but not in this role. When I look at this, the area, Denny Meyer's land, you're talking about 37 acres there. That's beyond Independence Drive, which is now all filled. Basically, we got a spec building, but this area is our next focus for development. And like I said, you can stack CRAs and TIFs. I've reached out to Fulton, Defiance, Williams. There are communities that have done it. So I think that's a conversation for after, whatever happens with this. But in order to focus on that larger area, that way the TIF still wins, development still wins. There's gonna have to be another discussion on what's gonna happen. That way we are prepared instead of a project taking 6 months. We already know and we have a game plan on what we can offer or what we can do.
I think at this point, I would make the motion to have the law director draft the legislation.
Second that.
Yeah.
Hey, before we pass that, can't we come to some sort of compromise? I was hearing 10 years with the tax abatement. 5 years is maybe a little too short. What about doing 7?
I think that's a conversation we could have during the reading process.
Right.
And with the business owner, but just to draft the legislation tonight.
Okay.
I can tell you that that legislation, I can't promise at the very next council meeting, so I'm gonna have to talk to the TIF attorney, and we're gonna have to, I guess, hammer that out after getting a lot of numbers and a lot of making sure that everything's correct. So I'm not saying it won't happen for the very next council meeting, but there's a possibility that it won't. So it's gonna be a little complicated.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just one comment. I basically agree with both the mayor and with Mr. Durham over there. But whatever it takes, and I know this gentleman, I'm very supportive personally of keeping him here. But I really think we do need 3 reads on it, no matter what. I've never been a real supporter in my time here of rushing things through too quick, and I know he needs it, but I'd rather see him, let's say, possibly get it down the road and not go through, instead of having a problem show up that we don't catch with 3 reads. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's my
Sounds
point.
good. Anyone else? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Thank you, Jen, for coming in and explaining all that.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. And I definitely understand Kevin's concern, and, we discussed this prior. TIF is new to me as well, so I'm learning. But, one last point is that, 20,000 square foot building and getting those tax dollars after a 10-year abatement, or 0 square foot building, 0 tax dollars
Right.
rolling in.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you. I have a little league game to get to.
Just gotta state the facts. We don't make the debt, we don't make the debt.
All right, we're going to go back to item H, reports from council committees. H1, the Parks and Rec Committee did not meet on June 20th, 2023 due to lack of agenda items. And H2, Finance and Budget Committee met on June 26th, 2023.
We recommended the council approve the second quarter budget adjustments. Those are coming up later on our agenda. We also discussed Airbnbs in this city. Current rules say it has to be 5 living quarters and above in order to pay the hotel motel tax. All the Airbnb locations are under that. So it's just something to monitor. We also have a very similar policy to everybody else kind of along 24 and 75 and in the great state of Ohio, except for Cleveland.
Correct.
Right? They have, theirs is 1, otherwise we're kind of in accordance with everybody else, so no change on that, just kind of a question only kind of thing for that one.
Thank you. Item H3, Safety and Human Resource Committee did not meet on June 26, 2023 due to lack of agenda items. Okay, item J, introduction of new ordinances and resolutions. We have J1 is ordinance number 029-23, an ordinance supplementing the annual appropriation measure supplement number 2 for the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second?
Okay. Kevin?
This is what Mayor Mazel just mentioned, that came from the Finance and Budget Committee meeting. This first ordinance here is the second quarter budget adjustments, and these adjustments are actually increases to budget line items. Some are personnel services, some are others that we've discussed at the Finance and Budget Committee, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions from anybody outside of that committee or any additional questions. If not, I do ask, because this does help us, assist us in closing out the month or the quarter, that we suspend the 3 reads for this, just like we have in the past.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding this?
Motion for suspension?
I'll second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right. And Rox, please call the roll on the ordinance.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on first read under suspension. Item J2, ordinance number 030-23, an ordinance authorizing the finance director to make appropriation transfers of appropriations from one appropriation line item to another appropriation line item pursuant to ORC section 5705.40 for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023, as listed in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second?
Okay, Kevin?
This is a second item that was at the Finance and Budget Committee meeting. This is actually the preferred method by the finance director for most people, that we move some budgeted funds from one line item to the other, because this does not increase our budget. It just increases and decreases of different line items. Again, these were discussed at the Finance and Budget Committee meeting. I would be more than happy to entertain any questions. And also, we'd like to ask for suspension of the rules so that we could close out the quarter with that, like we have in the past.
All right, thank you. Have any questions, comments?
I just asked a clarifying question. Is the two items for the 3155, are those just for the service garage?
3155.
About halfway down the page.
Oh, okay, for the amount?
Yes, sir.
That is actually the fire department.
Okay.
There was, they have whatever the cylinders are for the hose, at the hose ends. They need to be inspected, and that was not fully budgeted for enough of the amount that they have. So he moved from professionals to maintenance buildings, to equipment.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what that is. That is the fire department.
And I agree with Kevin. I mean, he said that the preferred method is to transfer funds, and that is something that I look to do every single time, rather than increasing a budget. I'd rather just transfer funds, have them find them from one place and stick them in another, particularly when it's general fund monies.
All right. Okay, we need a motion for suspension.
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, and please call the roll on the ordinance.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on first read under suspension. Item J3, resolution number 031-23, a resolution adopting the 2024 tax budget for the city of Napoleon, Ohio, as required in sections 5705.28 and 5705.281 of the Ohio Revised Code, and directing the finance director to file same with the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second.
Kevin?
Okay, so this was something that was discussed, and no, there was no motion made at the Finance and Budget Committee meeting, but this is what we call a Schedule A, Schedule B. These are the estimated amount of property taxes for our levies. We don't have a lot of levies as the city of Napoleon. We got inside millage, and then we also have the one outside millage, which is the park and rec levy. So what we're passing here is, this is what we're going to estimate of our property tax revenues for 2024. Initially, this is basically the start of the budgeting process, that you could say, here's our estimated revenues. We just received these numbers from the county auditor about a week or so ago. Per Ohio Revised Code, it's supposed to be sent to the county auditor, to the Budget Commission by July 20th of 2023, so we're asking for suspension so that we could get it to them in time.
Thank
And
you.
I'll be more than happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions? Okay, we need a motion for
Motion
suspension.
for suspension?
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly? Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Question real quick.
Yep.
Was there a reason why there wasn't a vote taken at finance and budget?
It wasn't on the agenda. It was other items as brought forth,
Okay,
so we just didn't do a vote on it.
okay.
Good
Yeah, and
question.
again, once the agenda was out, that's pretty much when I got the numbers for that too, so the timing just wasn't right there, but
No problem, just,
Yep.
if we can vote on it as full council, let's do that instead.
Any other questions? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
thank
Okay,
you.
that's passed on first read under suspension. Item K, second readings of ordinances and resolutions, we have none. Item L, third readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have item L1, ordinance number 024-23, and ordinance amending the City of Napoleon rules, terms, and conditions governing the sale of electrical service, specifically Rule 26, Appendix A, and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
There are no changes to this, Council President. Again, this is just the modification of the pole attachment fees and bringing them up to date on the numbers.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions or comments? Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, that has passed on third read. Item L2 is resolution number 026-23, a resolution approving the continued operation of the Napoleon, Ohio refreshment area, NORA, and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, Andy?
This is the 5-year renewal of the NORA, and there are no changes to the legislation from the last reading.
All right, any questions or comments? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, that has passed on third read. Okay, moving on to item M, good of the city. M1 is discussion or action, award of the 2023 street striping project. Chad, hey, welcome, Chad.
Thanks. Happy to report.
Yeah, same to you.
Thanks. Last week, we had a few bids that we opened, the first of which was our annual restriping program. In the odd years, we budget to stripe the whole city. We received two bids for that project, one from Griffin Pavement Striping LLC and a second from American Roadway Logistics. The low bidder was Griffin Pavement Striping at $129,681.05. Our budget for this project was $130,000. It'd be my recommendation that council award the contract to Griffin Pavement Striping in the amount of $129,681.05.
Have they done this for us before?
They've done it every year I've been here. So, they were previously Zimmerman Paint. They were bought by Griffin Pavement Striping, but it's to date been all the same individuals doing the work. And Bill Zimmerman, the owner of Zimmerman Paint, he's partially still involved with the company, but his son is still involved. So they've always done good work for us.
Do you know how much we paid 2 years ago, by any chance?
$129,000 and some change.
Oh, so it's,
It was only a couple $100 different than this bid.
okay, cool.
Now, 2 years ago, we only budgeted $120,000. We went over budget. So we're gonna keep track of them, and hopefully, if Roger's numbers are correct, and I subtract off all the streets that are going to be paved, so they don't get striped twice, hopefully this will be close.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Make a motion to award the bid?
I'll second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that's been awarded. Item M2, discussion or action, award of the 2023 sanitary sewer cleaning program.
Chad, would you mind handling this one?
The second bid we opened last week, second project we opened bids for was the 2023 sanitary sewer cleaning program. We have to abide by standards set forth by the state, and in some cases, standards set by the region, which is 10 states. One of those requirements are that the EPA requires every foot of sanitary sewer main line be cleaned and inspected on a 10-year cycle. This year is year 9. Next year will be year 10. We have previously bid these in either 3-year chunks or 2-year chunks. This was a 2-year, since we had 2 years left. The bid for year 9, which is 2023, we had 2 bidders. The low bidder was Advanced Rehabilitation Technology. Their bid was $71,303.25. We traditionally have budgeted between $85,000 and $100,000. This year we budgeted $100,000, so they're well below the estimate. The second bid on the project was just shy of $88,000, so they're substantially lower than the second bidder. We do not award year 2 this year. We will bring that back next year, but Advanced Rehabilitation Technology was the low bidder on that one as well. So next year we'll be able to bring that back without going through the bidding process. We already have the bids in hand and we'll award that next year. But with the results of these bids, I would request that council award Advanced Rehabilitation Technology the contract for $71,303.25.
Thank you. Have any questions or comments?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has been awarded. Item M3, discussion or action on change order number 4 for the Van Heining pumping station replacement project and increase of $214,020.
Yeah, Council President, a couple of weeks ago, I believe I kind of alerted council to this unusually high change order. They got into some rock that they certainly didn't anticipate. I'll let Chad expound on it a little bit more, but this was something that was very surprising, to say the least.
Yes, I know we ran into this issue last fall with one of the subcontractors on that project. The subcontractor was installing the pump station itself, the wet well, everything you see above ground that goes down 50 feet. The prime contractor on the project is Vernon Nagel Incorporated. We had to install pipes out of that pump station. Technically, they would be the inflow pipes into the pump station. It's west, but if you think of it towards the railroad tracks, it looks like you're running to the north towards the railroad tracks and then tying into the existing sewer. That pipe had to be dug through rock. We had to bring in specialized equipment from Columbus. We spent 3 days out there and got one piece of pipe in the ground before we brought in the bigger equipment. Because of the size or the large increase in the quantity, the original quantity in the bid documents was 20 cubic yards. It was a contingency item. In this instance, we had 522 cubic yards of rock we had to remove. When you have large increases like that, I know we've had it a few times where due to price increases, contractors ask for an increase in their prices. In this case, because of the large amount of the large amount we were over the bid, we actually get to reduce it. So the 522 cubic yards, we're able to reduce that by 18%. That was approximately 94 cubic yards we could take off of that work that was done. So in the end, the net rock excavation was 428.04 cubic yards to be paid at the $500 per cubic yard bid price. I do request council approve change order number 4 in the amount of $214,020. This is eligible for funding through DEFA. If you recall, our funding for this project is a 0.35% loan. And I apologize, I don't recall if that was a 20-year loan or a 30. This might be the one Joel had us do at like 22 years. But this is eligible for funding through DEFA and OWDA. And yes, we did look at moving this, and moving it was not going to get us out of rock.
Do we know the total of the project?
I beg your pardon?
What was the total estimate of this
The
project?
original, with this change order, the total cost of the project is a round number of $3 million. We were 2.8 before this one came up. This will put us at about 3 million, and I believe what we have worked out with DEPA was for 3.25. So we're still within the threshold of the DEPA funds that we applied.
$3 million project, and we barely get to see it.
Yes. The vast majority of this project is underground.
I had asked Chad, I said, in all your years here, how many times have you run into something like this in terms of the rock?
Right.
Never.
First one.
So it's very unusual.
I mean, when we did the EQ basin, we wanted to find rock, we had to go deeper than we wanted to because we had to set that basin.
On rock.
Yeah. In this case, it was much shallower.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Just to clarify, Chad, it's a 30-year term.
It's
I
30
just
year,
looked it up. Yeah, it's 30. So 0.5%.
All right. So you're looking for a motion to approve this change order?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. Item M5, discussion and action, acceptance of $80 donation in gift cards from Ninja to the police department. Hey, Chief Mack.
Chief, do you want to handle this, or would you rather? Whatever. You can certainly tell them that you received these and.
Like late last week, Ninja came in, they were evidently doing a re-grand opening. They came in and brought $80 for the gift certificates in. Obviously, we can't accept those as an individual officer, so I always bring that forward to see what council would like me to do with it.
Okay.
I had responded to the chief today that I would rather, just to avoid any appearance of impropriety, have the department donate those to another worthy organization or worthy individuals outside of the department. So
Sounds good. Do we need to specify that now or at another?
I don't
time?
believe so. I will allow him to make that call.
Okay.
But if council would certainly accept that donation.
Motion to accept under those circumstances.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has been accepted. Item M6, discussion or action, acceptance of $5,000 donation from the 4-County Adams Board to the Police Department for the DARE and LEAD program.
Sure, I will pass this along to you as well, Chief.
I love going after Chad. Mine's always, I'm going to turn the air up. This is, so as you know, we do a lot of programming inside the schools. We try to, 4-County Adams Board has been a big supporter of that, specifically the drug education.
So this would be a reimbursement of funds that we've already expended out of city funds. We send them receipts, they donate the money back. This year's amount they had budgeted for us was $5,000. So basically it's a reimbursement of what we've already spent.
All right, thank you. Can we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
All right, that has been accepted.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go around the table here, and we'll start with Andy today.
Yeah, I did send out an email this afternoon after I was alerted to a CSO overflow. Council did receive that. It's 4 different locations that we lost some water this weekend after last night's rain event. So it's been published, and we're all above board.
Okay. Anything else?
That'll do it.
Okay, Billy.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay, and Bob.
No, thank you.
All right, Molly.
Nothing, thank you.
All right, Dan.
Nothing.
Mr. Mayor.
I think last council meeting, we talked about when the docks are supposed to move, and I think Andy came back. The meeting was on the 12th, he said it had to be gone by the 15th, I think I drove by on the 16th, and they were all gone, so the docks are out from away, so that's kind of nice to see that, so. Obviously, fireworks are tomorrow, kind of like that they're always on the 4th, it's easy to plan around. I just appreciate all the help we had, city-wise, for the Rotary Triathlon. That's a lot of work to get those barricades up and cones moved and stuff. And I also appreciate the police department day of kind of jumping and helping us. That's a big, big help. And also for all the work that people did Friday night for Feast Fest. Made that a really nice activity, a really nice event for the city. Show a lot of teamwork there. So that's what I had.
Thank you. And Ross.
Not much for me. Just happy 4th, everybody. Everybody stay safe. Enjoy.
Ken.
Be careful with your 5th on the 4th.
Dr. Dave.
No comment after that.
All right. Kevin.
I just want to mention that in June 18th through the 21st was the APPA National Conference, American Public Power. I appreciate your guys' confidence in me of being on the board of AMP, and I was able to attend that. It was a very well-attended conference by people throughout the United States. I had a very educational experience while out there. I will say that myself, Joe, and Ross, they certainly represented the city of Napoleon very well. And I typed up, and it's in your council packet, of the items that I attended. So any questions, let me know. And again, thank you for allowing me to represent Napoleon for that.
Thank you.
Council President, could I have one quick do-over?
Yes.
Just to piggyback on what the mayor said, I think our operations crews, Chad's crews, did a phenomenal job last weekend. They not only had to manage the Feast Fest and all of that, and Joel Miller spoke very highly of the way they had things done and set up right away in the morning. They also had to be there when it closed to make sure everything was moved out to the park for the Rotary Triathlon. So they did a really, really good job, and again, they're gonna be at it tonight and tomorrow for July 4th. Chief has got his team, his crews all set for it. The fire department's all set, and it's been pretty amazing for me, my first year, to see them come together. They work very well together, and they have a plan, and I don't doubt that it'll go off without a bang. So, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
And just want to confirm that we, even though the state of Ohio allows fireworks to be shot off, city of Napoleon, it's still against the law. Is that correct? All right. I'm sure no one's been doing
No,
that.
I haven't heard any fireworks
I-
constantly
yeah.
outside my window.
Right. Okay, I don't have anything else right now, so move on to item O, approve payment of bills. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the payment of bills shall stand approved. Hearing none, they stand approved. And can we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Ross.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned.